Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how'd you like the music? Oh, 7, I can see that. That's great. Oh, we're glad that you're here. We've got some familiar faces. Some of you that were part of this church early on that came back to the special day to celebrate Bob and Janet. If you're here and you've gone and you're doing ministry elsewhere and you came back to love on them, will you just raise your hand real quick so we know who you are? We want to thank you guys. Let's everyone thank them thank you for being here. We are grateful for you and what you've done, and some of you have just poured literally thousands of hours into this local church, and we want to tell you thank you. And the difference that this church is making today, from Desert Hills to Anthem and all the way up, we're just so grateful for you, and so thank you for being a part of this day. If you leave now, again, we'll hunt you down. That's kind of our commitment to you. Hey, a couple things just for us. This is a little bit of housekeeping. Last week, you remember Izzy was passing out those bags for Foothills, and so we're going to be collecting those. Don't bring them back empty. That doesn't help us to have those bags, but at least put something in there. But for some of you, some of us, we're able to head to Fry's or Walmart and to fill those things up and bring them back. And I promise this organization will multiply all of your dry goods and your cans of food. And so thank you for participating in that regard. Today is a special day, as you know. We're celebrating who Bob and Janet, yes. And I'll tell you, what I like the most is they hate it. That just warms my heart. And so, Bob, come on up here, buddy. I want you to come on up here, and we're going to be, thank you. Look at that. I have an idea. We're crowd surfing you after this.
That works.
I'm going to send you right on up to the food truck.
That works.
Woo! Yeah. That's probably said well. It's been a ride for you guys. And 17 years and on that mountain and praying for this area. And you've seen this place grow. You've seen people come to Jesus. Looking back at the last 17 years, what one or two things did you see God do that you thought to yourself, I'm not sure if God could pull this off, and he did?
Now, you guys need to know this is not scripted.
We had souffle yesterday in coffee. This is all scripted.
There's nothing is scripted here. I don't know. I was thinking of so many things that we did and we tried, and we would have meetings at the amphitheater, and people just showed up, and we did the 40 days of purpose, and that was at the early days of doing things, and people just showed up, and I think that's the thing that just really hit me more than anything else. It seemed like God's hand was in this place. Honestly, okay, we're not 15 million people, but we can go out in our community and people know about Arizona Hills. And because of you guys, really, it's because of you guys that people really know God and so on. But it seems like every place we went, God opened it up. The Crawfords, early on, this was 17 years ago, we didn't have a place to meet because they didn't allow any churches to be in schools. The only school that was open was Anthem School, the only thing that was open. Yeah. And they said, no, we're not going to have anybody in it for a while. We want to kind of get used to our own facility. And so Gary Crawford found a place over at Pioneer Village, and our first services were over in the Opera House over there. And it was just...
And I didn't even know you sang opera, which is great.
It was amazing. And the thing that was so interesting, they wanted us to put the kids... There's a basement. There's a basement underneath there, okay?
I didn't know that. Okay.
And it's a spiral staircase. There are no exits anywhere. If there was a fire, everybody would die, and it was that that kind of thing. But, we went from there to Anthem School. This opened up when we've been here, and it's been really neat. And, just a little side note, because I'd love to talk, but...
We have to be out by 2,
Okay.
so keep that in mind.
All of us in this room know how hard it is to be a church in the box.
Yeah.
I mean, we do.
Yeah.
And Randy's vision is moving us to eventually to a building and stuff. And I'll tell you what, I am so thrilled. I think we're all thrilled and excited about that. But there is something sweet about sweat equity.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what this church is about. It's not just about showing up and just having a good time.
Yeah.
And it is about working together, loving each other together, and pouring into each other's lives and stuff. And frankly, people's lives have been changed because of this church. Not because of me, or more because of Janet, but not because of me, but really because of that. Oh, one more thing.
Sure. It's your day, brother.
This is one of the things that just really has blessed, as Janet and I were talking and stuff. People come to church for a whole lot of different reasons, okay? They come because of family. They come because of friends. They come because they got married and now they're going to come to church. They have kids and they want to have their kids grow up and all that kind of stuff.
You're right.
But a lot of people come because they've been hurt or they're damaged and there's pain and all that kind of stuff, which is a wonderful reason because this is a place where there's healing and so on. Sure. I think one of the unique things about Arizona Hills, honest guys, I'm just telling you, is that people who come and they're hurt or have pain and they get better because of Jesus, then they stuck around and poured into someone else. That's your legacy, guys. I mean, honestly, I can point to tons of you that said, I had needs, God met those needs, and now I'm in the business of helping other people going through the same thing. Yeah. That's pretty awesome. Give yourself a hand on that one. That's really good.
Yeah. I suppose what I'm hearing you say is there was an environment created where people could get healthy and well. It was a safe place, and that probably makes you proud in a very godly way that was created. So,
really, very much so. And it was not just Janet and I. We were a whole team. Dale Farwell was just a magnificent brother in Christ and pastor, and he and I, together went up and climbed on the mountain and together got that vision and stuff. So it's always been a team. Always been a team.
Last question for you. I know all of your kiddos, some of them better than others, and one of the first things that Judy and I noticed, because we've known each other for 28 years, didn't know Janet real well. I only knew one of your kids, not one of the better ones, and I didn't see him there. And so one of the things that I realized is your kids all love Jesus. They married people who love Jesus. And they're all serving God. Yeah. How in the world does that happen? Because there's moms and dads here that want to emulate that so badly that they get on their knees to pray for that. Is that how it happened?
I'll tell you, this is a very humbling moment.
It is,
we take no credit at all.
Oh my
Zero. Zippo. Janet deserves a lot of credit because I was a distant dad an awful lot of the time. But number one is the sovereignty of God. We believe in a God who is in control of our lives and our family beyond what we can even imagine. And so this is very simply put, it's the sovereignty of God. And so it is being on your knees, and it is praying for your kids and praying that they marry well, and pray that when crossroads come, that they make the right kind of decisions. And that's our prayer. And it still is. And it's now our prayer for our grandkids and so on. So that's a big deal. That's a big deal. I will say one thing, and not that I have done this well. Janet is amazing. She's done this very well, but
I think they like her better than you.
They do. Do you know that comment is making a lot of points for me
Yeah,
tonight?
yeah.
Okay, so well done.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we really realize that whatever we do on stage, if we're not doing it at home, at least on some capacity,
Yeah.
that's where the disconnect comes.
Yeah.
The disconnect comes and says, gosh, you said this, but this is how you're living. And again, she did it right. I did it like this.
Yeah.
But I think that consistency over a long period of time eventually makes all the difference.
A perfect transition. Let's sing another song. Is that what we're going to do? We're singing another song, and we'll meet Janet up here and Judy in a few minutes. But thank you, brother. Thank you.
Hey, hey, Bob. Hey, Bob. Bob, you can't leave. So most of you guys who've been around maybe as long as I have or a little bit less don't know that Bob played in the worship band for a while. So we chose a song that we think you know, and we're going to make you play it with us. So.
Don't do that to me. Kumbaya.
Everyone stand up, please.
Get on our feet.
Hey, don't sit down. I want you to welcome Judy and Janet up to the stage right now. Give them a hand, please. All right, you may be seated. Got it.
Hi.
Hi.
We've already talked this morning and texted. Do we look okay? Because we checked. Okay. So I'm so excited to be a part of today because first, you have all the stories of Arizona Hills, definitely, and many secrets of successful. Oh, I said I wouldn't cry ministry. My job today is to interview you, so I'll get in job mode. But I'm also here to steal your wisdom and your secrets, and I know where to find you.
That's true.
So,
I'm not sure how much wisdom there is, but
Yeah. Let's not let her get away with that. Okay. So the first thing is we both know ministry can be tough on the heart. Can you share one of the memories that makes your heart smile?
Well, one of my favorite memories through the years at Arizona Hills has been Vacation Bible School. And Bob and I were talking about memories last night, and that's one that he mentioned as well. And of course, children's ministry has always been so close to my heart, and I have great memories as a child at my Vacation Bible School. So I think for me, the first 3 years of Arizona Hills, I was children's director. So our first year of Vacation Bible School was another church came and actually did it for us. We didn't actually know they were coming. It was sort of a communication problem. And so within like 2 weeks, we kind of found homes for this whole team that came out and did Vacation Bible School. And the next year, we did our own. And just seeing how God brought people together, and it was such a gigantic job, but God just wove it all together, and just seeing his faithfulness through that, and seeing the kids. And I know that was a lot of life-changing happened for me in Vacation Bible School, and seeing that in the lives of other kids. That's so precious on my heart, and I understand, talking to Jen this morning, that we're actually doing Vacation Bible School again this coming year in the middle of June. So that's my little plug for next year. But it's an awesome thing for kids, and an awesome thing to see men and women come together with a great purpose to impact the next generation for Christ.
That is awesome. Okay, so then that kind of leads to my transition. How many of you in the room have had Janet as a teacher, or I should say, Mrs. Lehman as a teacher, from Sunday school to anywhere? If you'd raise your hand. Yay, let's give them a hand. I had thought of this earlier, but then this morning I got the honor of meeting someone that it's been 31 years since they were started in ministry, so that is very, very cool. And I know his name, but I won't say it. Okay. So then that was my second question. What is your favorite memories of children's ministry? So we'll get a little more specific.
Well, when we first started, like Bob had said, we met at Pioneer, and I taught Sunday school in the bank, which I don't know if any of you have been over there, but they took down an old Valley National Bank. Some of us who've been in the Valley for a while recognize that name, and set it up in there. And so in the middle of my lessons, people would come in and they were touring in there. So I was kind of a tour director and a Sunday school teacher at the same time. And then I think the funniest Sunday was the Sunday that I didn't realize that they were having gunfights outside my classroom. So teaching a lesson on peace and love and joy didn't quite go what was happening on the outside. But eventually we got to move to Anthem School, and that was a great blessing. And I think the first year we went to, the church has had one service and two services back and forth a couple times over their history. And the first year we went to two services, I was like really nervous about how in the world am I going to get enough teachers for this? And God just raised up so many awesome people who are still very involved in this church and doing other ministries now, but they stepped forward and filled those spots that we needed people to come in and just make a difference in those kids' lives. And I think just God's faithfulness through all that. Lots of crazy stories with setting up in hallways when they wouldn't let us in classrooms, but God just took care of all those things, and we're so thankful now that we're all together in this building and excited about what God may have for us in the future too. So,
Thank you. I love that. And I do know this will be my shameless plug that Jen and the team and Janet are willing, if anyone here, if that just struck your heart and you said, I need to go be a part of that and see if there can be a bank tour in your future.
yeah,
So.
well, and I have to say, God convicted me of something the other day. I've been in the back a lot lately, and when people ask me where I am, I said, well, I haven't been in church in a while. And then I got this tap on the shoulder from the Lord and said, yeah, you've been in church. Because that is also, once those kids come to know Christ, that's part of the church too. And we're laying the foundation for the church for the next generation back there. And yes, I've been in church. We have a little different worship. Really, we do a little bit more aerobic type exercises during our worship. Any of you would like to join us for that? We would love that. So.
Ooh, so that counts as exercise too, I'm hearing.
There you go.
So there we go.
Yep.
All right, so you've touched a lot of women's and families' lives through their children, but if you could just share with us one way, I know you've done a lot in women's ministry, a favorite story of women's ministry.
You know, I've worked with a number of different teams through the years. God has raised up different women to be part of that, and the team I'm part of right now they're just incredible women, and just to see their faithfulness and working together. It's hard to think of a specific thing, but I think just some of the events we've put together, and I don't know, people are going to come, and then just seeing God show up and bring women and hear women come later and tell me, that's the first time I really made a friend. You know, I really had time to sit down and talk with another woman, or a difference it made in my life. And there's just been so many things over the years, going to retreats together, and our Christmas parties, and all the wonderful ladies' Bible studies. And just, it's hard to pick just one, but just seeing God working through all those things has been a great honor.
So I have the privilege of serving on that team with Janet, and I'm new to the team, but they were very passionate that they wanted you to know that you were very, very, very loved. And this is one of the ways they wanted to share. It's just beautiful. So there's a beautiful gift of their love and a beautiful gift of their care and our care.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. I'm going to pass it on to Jason.
Are we getting
Love you too.
Mom's going to do a solo now.
Oh, here you go.
Okay, Dad, I need you to come up here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jason Lehman. Yes, I have the same last name as Bob. I am their eldest son. Honestly, this is kind of intimidating.
It is, And it's probably very boring for you guys.
I am married to Melinda, and I have 3 girls, Ava, Krista, and Jada. And I have 2 cats. We'll get in trouble if I don't mention them. And I'm supposed to talk about what Bob is doing now. But before I do that, I probably need to talk about some history. Rick, if you want to put that picture up, it's not bad.
You're going to show my bad comb over, aren't you?
No, look up there. It's not bad.
Hey, there it is.
So I thought it was kind of, I thought it would be special for us to be on stage together in the same way that we used to be on stage together. And for a lot of you, you may not know, I was the worship pastor here for the first 6 years. And you remember, all right. And Billy still lets me play, so it's good. I can't tell you what a privilege it was to share the stage with my dad every week for those 6 years. We got to dream about what God was doing. I got to tell him what was wrong with his messages. It was
All the time.
It was all the time. It was good. But I think it's important that you guys know kind of where we come from. And growing up in a ministry family, my dad was a pastor long before he was at Arizona Hills. And when you grow up in a ministry family, you grow up in a bit of a glass house where there's a lot of expectations inside the home. There's a lot of expectations outside the home. And you're kind of on everybody's radar all the time. What are the pastor's kids doing? Are they being good? Are they being bad? If they're being bad, everybody knows about it. That was mainly my sister.
That was Jeremy.
Hi,
Where are you?
Janelle. I think that I think what it did though is it gave us a perspective of the good and the bad of ministry. And a lot of people look at our family and they think, well, your dad's a pastor. You guys must have the perfect family, and that is wrong. We are
Wait just a second.
I'm just holding you true to what you were,
Okay.
So we're like you guys. We fight. We argue. We hurt each other's feelings. We tear our shirts when we get mad. Well, that's you. Yeah, that's you.
That is me.
We borrow our kids' cars, and they come back with chicken manure all over them. That was you, too. That was like 10% mom, I think. Actually, it was for the garden.
That was not my fault.
We laugh, we cry, but we really are a lot like everybody else. And so we deal with the same kinds of things. But we love each other, and we love Jesus, and we follow Jesus. We try to follow Jesus. We love our spouses the way that my parents modeled that for us. We love our kids, and we dream really big things for our kids and what God's going to do. So my parents don't like taking credit for this, but the reality is they instilled some very, very powerful things in us when we were younger. And one of those things is that God has made us unique, and he has wired us to make a difference. And that was put in us over and over and over again. I think all of us, my siblings, our children, we are all striving to be a difference maker for the Lord. And I think for me, that really began when we were on stage together at Arizona Hills 17 years ago, and those 6 years of serving together. The Lord led my wife and I into some other ministries, and 10 years later, we have a company now, and we have a team, and we are striving desperately to see change happen in the world and to see people come to know God. And we work with small little churches, and we work with large ministries that have places all over the globe. And this past year, my dad came to work for me. And
That's right. Be in prayer.
I will be honest, it was awkward at times. Just suddenly becoming my dad's boss. And he is very difficult to manage. I'm just saying. But it has been
This
weird.
is supposed to be a thank you.
I'm coming to that. We've had an opportunity to travel. We've had the opportunity to meet just some really amazing Christian leaders over the past couple of years. I got a chance to introduce him to Josh McDowell. How many know who Josh McDowell is?
Yeah.
Josh McDowell is an incredible author and leader who has shaped much of our Christian culture in our country now. And he's actually one of my dad's heroes. And so if you ever want to see the confident, well-spoken man who is here just turn into a 13-year-old little girl, introduce him to one of his heroes. Mm-hmm. It is, ask him about it. It's pretty funny.
It's true.
So, Bob, my dad, is now our director of product development for Keenly Interactive. And so Bob is overseeing, I keep saying Bob, Dad. That's always awkward. He is overseeing a lot of our ministry partnerships. He's also overseeing a lot of the resources and things like that that we create and we make available to churches around the country. He's now in charge of that. And he is doing some incredible work. And next year there is a book coming out from a best-selling, nationally known author. You know who he is. I just can't tell you who he is yet. And he is actually writing all of the small group material that is most likely going to make it into places like Right Now Media. And you will be able to see his influence in a lot of these projects in the coming year. This is really, really exciting. And I am deeply, deeply grateful to be my dad's boss. I really am. I'm very proud of that. But I'm really proud, to be your son.
Me too.
So, I mentioned Josh McDowell a couple minutes ago, and you need to know that Josh has had a huge influence on my dad. And a lot of the ministry, even here, has been shaped by a lot of Josh's resources and things like that. And Josh is going through a transition right now where he is beginning to work with his son, Sean. And they've recently released a book together. Sean is taking more and more of an active role in the ministry. And so I told Josh about what was going on. And Josh wanted to leave you with a message. So he sent me a video, and I'd like you to watch this now. So I'll close our time out with that.
Hey, Bob and Janet, congratulations on 17 years with the church. What a legacy the two of you have left, and what an impact in people's lives. And just think, now he is taking you to a higher step, to become the slave of your son, Jason. I think it's so neat that you can go to work with Jason at his new business. The best to all of you. And praying for the church, as I know it's going to be very hard to ever replace you, but there's someone out there to do it. Hey, God bless.
Wow.
Be seated. And I think I just saw a Presbyterian clapping. This is crazy. And thank you for being a part of this. I tell you, I've been preaching for 30 years. This is the easiest 5-minute sermon I've ever preached in my entire life, because Bob and Janet did all the work to prepare this 5-minute sermon. And I'll tell you what. There's a passage of the Bible that so dovetails the past 17 years and longer. Bob, how many years have you been working for the gospel of Christ? How many years? 1971. But you still have your hair. Oh, never mind. Is that what senior pastor does? Should I just kiss this stuff goodbye now? Yeah, I got it. Okay. Toupee looks so good, doesn't it? I know. There's a passage in the Bible that I don't know, Bob, Janet, if this was directly on the radar, but I know because of your commitment to Jesus and understanding of the New Testament that this passage does such a good job describing where you guys have been and where you continue to be. Matthew chapter 6 says, "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and they steal. But," this is the biggest but in the whole New Testament. Jesus is saying, listen to me. There's so much to choose from. More than temptation, there is so much to choose in terms of storing and collecting and gaining and building. There's so much that we can see and we can touch and we can feel and that makes us feel good at the moment. But he says those things, the moths, bugs, critters, rust, just steal from us and just take away. We all have had moments in our life where we bought that one car or that one house, where we went on that one vacation, and that we thought if we somehow could attain that, whatever that is, and it's not long at all before we look and see how empty those things have left us be. And the void then becomes even more evident. And so Jesus says, if you're going to store things, don't do it here. He says, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. And if you and I were hearing that for the very first time, we'd go, okay, how? This is the first time that this is laid out like this. And he says, this is how. He says, lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust can destroy, where thieves can't break in and they steal. So for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Bob, Janet, this group and about 1 million other people outside of this room want to tell you thank you for 4 things. Number 1, you cared for lost souls. And you cared and you continue to care, and your heart continues to beat for those who do not know Jesus. And what's interesting about that segment of people, and you know this, I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. You've told me. They don't even know what they don't know. And they don't even know what they don't have. And so introducing Jesus to folks who think that they have it all is something that you've committed your life to, and the legacy that you left is this group, and whether you are a part of this amazing local church or whether you're a part of another one, your chore and my chore, which is one of the most amazing privileges that we can actually ever have, is having the honor of extending to someone not life here, but life eternal. You've done it, and God forbid that we don't continue that. It's number 1. Number 2, there's only 20 points. Hang with me. Number 2, is not only have they left us a legacy of loving souls, those with the gift of eternal life, but you've also given us this deep understanding and created a culture for broken people to come with their lives a mess. And the message that people receive from you too and from everyone else in a culture that we have adopted here is it's okay to be a mess. but we love you too much to leave you there. We welcome messy lives, but we love you way too much to let you stay in that state. And last weekend, you and I had the privilege of hanging out with 30 of our men at a men's retreat. And there were two stories that I can recall, maybe more. I had to leave early, but two folks that said this. They said, Bob came knocking on my door when I told him, go away. And you continued to knock. And one came to the door, and the other, and I forget who it was, it doesn't matter. And he says, I knew that he was out there. And I thought, what is he doing? Leave me alone. And you weren't there for a free lunch. You weren't there for anything for you, but you were there for them. And it was awkward and it was hard and you did it. And now, number two, you've left for a legacy for you and I, the mission to reach out to people with broken lives who are so broken they can't even reach out for help. Souls for salvation. Two, people whose lives are broken that need love and care. Number three, you've loved your kids in such a way that you've left us a legacy to love our kiddos. Because as much as Jason was giving you a hard time, I'm sure there were a million or maybe more times where those kiddos just ate your lunch. And the one thing that I know is you never, ever, ever gave up on your kiddos. And we have the legacy to do that also. And then the third is your grandkids. I have never seen more good kids, but great, awesome grandkids than yours, ever. I've never seen a group, everyone I meet, I'm meeting them every day. There's new ones appearing. And they're all awesome. And I've said this to Janet, and I think Janet thinks that I say that to everyone, but there's some of you, I don't like your grandkids. In fact, I'm going to post the names tomorrow on Facebook. I just think it's the right thing to do. You got great kids, you got great grandkids. And they love you too, and I got proof of it. Let's watch this.
Papa and Grandma love me so much. Grandma and Grandpa help us when we need help. They take us places. They spend money on us. I love your doggy Jackson. And I love Mama's because she makes us pancakes. Grandpa's funny when he tells funny stories. Knock, knock. Who's there? Watermelon. Watermelon who? Watermelon in the zoo. Grandpa tells so funny jokes I forget to laugh.
They come to our house all the time, and we have fun together. They come to all our events. It's just really great.
They're kind and very hospitable to people, and they're very generous. I love Grandpa because he tells me good stories about Jesus and in the Bible that make me want to follow Jesus more.
I remember with Grandpa, I would write down questions about the Bible, and when he came over, I'd tell it to him, and he'd always have a great answer.
Grandma is just really wise and has the best advice when it comes to any problems that you have.
She just always is kind of funny, like Grandpa. Grandma and Papa are changing the world so much.
How have Grandma and Grandpa made a difference in the church, in your life, and in the world?
Well, the church, they kind of started it, so without that, there wouldn't be the church.
They taught pastors about Jesus. They taught my dad about Jesus, who taught me about Jesus. Grandpa and Grandma have made a difference in my life by always being there for me and teaching me about Jesus.
What do they teach you about Jesus?
If I'm dying in the class. They've been helping people. They've been teaching people about God and their church. Grandma changes the world because she teaches all the kids about Jesus.
Grandma always helped in the back and really helped start up the children's ministry and brought it up to the glory that it is now.
Papa changes the world because he goes to the hospital when people are sick.
They went to Hope Academy in India, and they taught kids about Jesus. They gave them a chance to have a relationship with him.
Well, Grandma and Grandpa have made an impact in the world by spreading the news of Jesus. They love pretty much anybody in the church. Take that back, everybody in the church.
Grandpa was, since he was the pastor for 17 years, he was the best pastor. No offense, Pastor Randy. He changed a bunch of people's lives, and they just changed other people's lives, and it just kept going.
They're great. I don't know what the world would do without them.
Thank you, Grandma and Grandpa, for being kind to the world. Thank you for telling jokes, and just thank you for doing everything that you do. I love you, Grandma and Papa. And I love them. I just love them so much. I love Papa and Grandma. We love you so much. I can't ask for a better grandpa and grandma. And I love them because they're my grandma and grandpa. And that's it. That's all that I really know about them.
Bob, Janet, come on, make your way up here, please. This is the last and final, I promise. I know you're going to probably be emotionally spent at this point, but one last thing. I'm going to ask for the elders of this local church to make their way up here. We're going to pray for Bob and Janet in this next chapter in their lives, and just asking God to direct you and to guide you. And it's a special day for sure. And this group of people, they adore you, and they are grateful to have served with you as well. I'm going to do something also, if you feel comfortable, if you are a former elder of this church. If you don't feel comfortable coming up here, I totally get that. But if you're a former elder and that you've served with Bob, I invite you to make your way up here as well, if you feel like it's appropriate. But I do know that there are some men in this room that shared that ministry with you, and you've poured into them as well. And so some that I may not even know, but which is great. So we're going to have you guys make your way up here. This stage in your life is one that has potential in a lot of ways to be even greater in terms of the amount of people, which is hard to fathom. It's unique. What's also amazing to me is that somehow God knew from way back when that you would be here. And so today is a day where we've been commissioned by you to carry your legacy in the North Valley. But it's our turn also to commission you to the world in a new stage that could be even bigger and greater in so many ways. And so I'm going to ask my friend Brent to, there's a mic, thank you, just to pray for them in this stage, and what an honor it is for us to be here. And so if you can't touch them, touch someone who's touching them, and would you all pray with us?
Lord, so grateful for today. And I know Bob and Janet are going into this day not very comfortable with the focus on them. Their hearts are oriented to you. But Lord, I think that's what's happening today, is your name, your person is being magnified. Thank you, Lord, for all the work that you've done through both of them. Lord, I think of the mustard seed and 17 years ago, and few people, few resources, but big dreams, Lord, that you planted inside of them. And Lord, this mustard seed's grown into a big tree with many people impacted, many lives today, and even lives who have come and gone and grown and gone elsewhere, Lord. So thank you so much for the fruit of this ministry and they've had and the glory it's given to you. So, Father, we do commission the two of them, and Lord, we ask for your grace in this next season. It's different. But Lord, we're delighted, we're excited at the convergence of all their experiences and gifting to come together and to have influence on other leaders, other ministries, that health, that your gospel would flourish. Thank you for them, Lord. Bless them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, guys. So in case, Bob, Janet, stay right here. Janet, stay right here. In case you don't get to them, there's a lot of people out here. On three, I want you, everyone together, just to say we love you and we thank you, Bob and Janet. 1, 2, 3. We love you and thank you, Bob and Janet. Let's give them a hand one last time. Thank you, guys.
We love them too.
Thank you. And they love you too.